With the conclusion of the Rangers series occurring last night, we now know what teams will be participating in the NHL Conference Finals. Not only do we have the Avalanche and the Oilers out on the west side, we also have the Lightning versus the Rangers on the east side of the conference. So what we're going to be doing today in this video is we're going to go over some statistics for each of the teams, some of the key players, and kind of how each team matches up versus each other. Maybe a little bit of predictions, as we always do, how many games, best of 7, all that stuff. And we're going to do that for all 4 teams, and then we're going to compare them to each of their own series, obviously. And then once it comes time, we have an answer to this. We'll go into a little bit deeper of a dive in a week or so of the actual Stanley Cup Finals. But with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, give me a like. If you really enjoy this video or you come back on a daily basis, go ahead and subscribe because I do have videos daily, NHL, NBA, and NFL videos. But with that being said, let's just go ahead and get right into this. So, like I said, we have the Avalanche. We'll go against the Oilers in the west side, and we have the Lightning against the Rangers. So the Lightning was the only team in this last series that had swept, and they looked very, very good. But let's not act like the rest of these teams, even if it went to 7 games like the Rangers series did, let's not act like these aren't good teams. The Rangers, who were playing the Hurricanes, both of those guys were quite a bit of people's favorites to win it all. And they end up going against each other very early on in the playoffs in round 2, and now we have the Rangers sitting here in the conference finals. They're a very good team. The Avalanche, obviously, been playing very, very good. They just went against the Blues, and although a lot of people did end up choosing the Blues to win that series, I can't remember exactly who I chose at this very moment off the top of my head. The Avalanche end up coming out on top, and probably in pretty reasonable fashion. And along with that, you have the Oilers who go against the Flames, and the Oilers were definitely the underdogs. I think most people chose the Flames in that series. I know I did, and the Oilers end up winning in, was it 5 games, 4-1 series? So we can't just look at these teams and just be like, oh, this team is the clear favorite here, because not only are you playing different teams that run different systems, but some of these guys are playing more difficult teams earlier on and things like that. But let's start on the west side. We have the Avalanche, Colorado Avalanche, against the Edmonton Oilers. We're going to start with the Avalanche first. A lot of people's favorite, the arguably best team record-wise, at least in the NHL at the end of regular season. And so far through the playoffs, they are 8-2, which is a very, very good record. They've lost 1 game in each series, I do believe. They've looked very, very good. They've looked very dominant. That's what a lot of people expected. When you got a great goalie such as Darcy Kemper, when you still have these young guys, or some of these veteran players that you got like Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon, a very young guy in MacKinnon. Not only that, but we'll talk about some storylines here in a second too. They have been doing very, very good. They're tied for number 1 in the playoffs. All these statistics are going to be playoff statistics. They're tied number 1 in goals per game. Obviously, that's a big, big part to this great core that they have, and they have lines that are very deep on every single level. It's not a super top-heavy as some other teams may appear to be. They're number 4 in goals against average, so that tells you not only is their defense been very, very good for them, but their goalies allowing, when the shots are getting to them, their goalies not allowing them to go in. You have Darcy Kemper, who has been playing incredible. And speaking of Darcy Kemper, they're number 7 in save percentage through the playoffs. Obviously, you have 16 teams. So Darcy Kemper is number 7. The team overall is number 7 in save percentage. And Darcy Kemper, I think, is a lot better than what he's been playing. He's been playing very good. I think he still has another notch that he can kick it up. I wonder if that's this series that he ends up kicking it up. The Avalanche are also number 5 in shots. So when you're number 1 in your goals per game, it's likely that you're getting a lot of shots, or you're just extremely accurate if you're getting less shots. But when you're number 5 in shots, you're likely going to lead to getting goals no matter who you're going against. And not only that, but the Avalanche still have the ability to be limited on shots and make them, just because how pinpoint accurate some of these guys on this team is. So not only are they high in shots, what's going to lead to more goals, but they have the talent and the accuracy to get goals when they're limited. And that's just a great component. Now, like I was talking about, their goalie, Number 7, save percentage. Number 4 in goals against average. They've been playing some tough teams, but you also got to remember maybe they've had one of the easier trips so far to this point. You're the number 1 seed in your conference, which means you're going to be playing the 8 right away, which, I mean, the 8 seed's the worst seed in your conference to make it in there. Or wait, is it 8? I'm thinking basketball right now. Is there 8 teams? I think that's right. Because you have, oh my gosh, my brain is just completely toast right now. Okay, whatever. You're going against the worst team. If I mess it up, excuse me, I apologize. You're going against the worst team that made it into the playoffs in your conference. And then right after that, you're going to end up going against the next group. So you'd be going against the winner of the 3 and the 5. Oh my gosh, my brain's toast, guys. I'm really sorry. I should probably grab my phone. I don't even know where I put it. There was a long weekend and lots of sunlight drained energy, so my brain's a little bit fried, but nonetheless, we're going to manage our way through this. They've probably had the point of what I'm trying to get across. They've probably had the easiest so far to get to this point. And that's expected when you're number 1 seed. You're going to go against worse teams than if you're that middle area. You're going to end up going against better teams. Like if you're the 4 seed, you're going against the 5 seed right away, and then you're going to end up going against another top seed right away the next round. So you just got to look at that. When you're a top seed, you're going to go against arguably worse competition early on. Now, not only that, but they're number 13 in penalty minutes. Now, with 16 teams, the higher number means you have more penalty minutes against you, which means you're shorthanded more often. So being at 13 not only tells you that this team is very disciplined, but that they're not shorthanded often. And although they may have a good penalty kill, having not been on the penalty kill as much as some other teams is only going to lead to better things for you, because you're not trying to kill and just clear the puck the second you touch it. You're still able to go out on that offensive side and go score, and that's why you're getting so many shots and scoring so many goals, because you're not always down a man. And even when they are down a man, they're still able to put the pressure on to the other team. Now, like I was talking about, they have superstars, maybe not as like huge names as some other guys here, but you got Cale Makar, you got Nathan McKinnon, you have Darcy Kemper, and so much other talent. And I think a great thing that the NHL is finally doing is they're promoting their stars. So as you know, Avalanche against the Oilers have Connor McDavid, which is a huge player for the NHL. Like Sidney Crosby levels of, attention that he brings to the NHL, a young Sid. So now they're marketing Nathan McKinnon, who has been incredible, and he's been very young, and Cale Makar. These guys are good guys that have that face, and people know who they are right away, and they're able to market it right away and be like, oh, we have Connor McDavid over here, and I definitely thought I heard my door. And we still have Nathan McKinnon on the other side with another, young duo going against each other a lot. And that's just very, very easy to market. Now, speaking of Connor McDavid, the Oilers, what is going on? I hear my door. Is it raining? Oh, I think it's raining again. The Oilers are 8-4. So they've lost 2 more games than the Colorado Avalanche, but they've been going against a little bit tougher competition. Now, surprisingly enough, they played, not surprisingly enough, but they played extremely better than a lot of people had expected them to this previous round, going 4-1 against the Flames, who some people had picked to win it all. So they go 8-4, losing 3 of the games in that very first round. And they are also tied for number 1 in goals per game average, the exact same as the Avalanche. Same number of goals, so you have that offensive consistency. Both teams are going to be able to score offensively. And when you got guys like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and even Evander Kane, who's been stepping up for you, you're going to have that opportunity offensively to do very, very well. Now, on the other side of things, you're number 8 in goals against average, so you're allowing more goals to go in than the Avalanche. But their goalie has been stepping up for them when they need him most. Although he's older, he's 40 years old, he's still been stepping up for them. and allowing them to, win these games and not be outscored. And when you're number one in goals per game, you're going to take some pressure off your goalie, but he's allowing that pressure to be, equally taken off of the offense because how he's been playing. And the Oilers are number 4 in shots, so they're getting a little bit more shots per game than the Avalanche are at this very moment. How much does that, alter things with the Avalanche having a better goalie in net? Does that really make a difference? You're getting more shots. Well, it could lead to more goal opportunities. You can only save so many shots consistently, so getting more shots is going to be a good thing for your team. But the Avalanche has an incredible defense, so they're going to end up limiting these shots anyways and getting blocks and poking it out and all that stuff. So how much does a single number difference in shots, number 5 and number 4, actually matter? I don't know. I don't think it'll matter a whole lot. Now, the Oilers, although they're number 8 in goals against average, they are number 4 in save percentage. So what that tells you is they're letting in a good number of goals if the goals against average is number 8. But if you're number 4 in save percentage, that's also telling you that there's a lot more shots coming your way, which is true. They've been having a lot more shots shot towards their net than some other teams have been to this point. So the Avalanche being number 5 in shots, although they'll be able to shoot a fair share of shots towards the net, the Oilers have been very, very well at saving it. Their goalie has been playing very good, and even when the puck is on net and the goalie somehow loses it in a rebound or stuff, the defense is able to help him clear it or get it out of net if it ends up falling behind him in the crease. They've been doing very, very well at saving the puck. And here is the biggest difference per ranking compared to one another. Avalanche, who are number 13 in penalty minutes, not getting a lot of penalties against them, and they're doing very well even when there are penalties against them. But the Oilers are number 2 in penalty minutes. They're having a lot of penalties occur. They're down a man way, way more often than the Avalanche are. And when the Avalanche are so good, not only 5-on-5, but they're able to put the pucks in when they are on the power play, it's a little bit worrisome when the Oilers are number 2 in penalty minutes for them, because that's going to lead to more power play opportunities for the Colorado Avalanche against the Oilers. Even if your goalie's been playing very well, that's still something that you need to worry about. Now, we spoke a little bit about these superstars on the Oilers side. You have Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, who are both in talks for the Hart Memorial, the MVP. But Evander Kane has really stepped up for him. I believe he leads the team in total points for one guy on the team. He's been stepping up big time for this team, and he's been a big help for them on multiple level lines. They're not always running them in the same line, which is a good thing, especially when you got someone that's hot. You don't need to force him in the same line as two guys that are always rolling. It seems like Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid are always going to find a way to put it in net for themselves, and that's what they've been doing. But on the other side of things, you got to look at the Avalanche and their defense with, these guys, not only offensively, they're able to play defense. They're like forwards are still able to help on defense, but they're pure defensive-minded guys are doing very well. You have Darcy Kemper in net. You have Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, and plenty of other guys. I know I say them a lot, but those are like the guys that are going to pop off the screen at you. Going up against the Stars on the Oilers side, I think this is a very, very good matchup, not only team-wise, but also for, player-on-player statistics. Now, let's move to the East side. I would argue this one is more, enjoyable to watch. I look forward to this series more than the other series, not only because I like both of these teams as a whole, but the fact that in most of my picks, these guys were the two guys I had going the farthest. So we have the Lightning versus the Rangers. Two teams that are very good, both offensively and defensively. Both have incredible goalies who have been in the race for, the Vezina Trophy, whether that was last year or this year, and they've been doing extremely good. So let's start with the Lightning, a team that I just did a video on. If you want to go check that out, feel free. And they've been a big surprise for a lot of people. They have the opportunity now, and they're still pushing for it, to get a three-peat, something that hasn't been done very much. Only 3 teams in NHL history have had a three-peat, and those 3 teams, a total, have done it 5 times. This is something that's not extremely common, and we have an opportunity to witness this year. But you still got to beat the Rangers first. So what do the Lightning have going for them? Well, not only player-wise, we know that they have a lot going for them, but they have the experience, which is something that we'll lead into a little bit here in a second. But let's start with some statistics. They're 8-3 so far in the playoffs. They just swept this past round, and they had a very, very tough series against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they knocked them out the first round. Yes, the curse is still alive for the Maple Leafs. So the Lightning are 8-3, which obviously is a good record. You're winning double the amount that you're losing. And you're number 6 in goals per game. You're above halfway on that. You maybe want to see that increase a lot. This is not as extremely fluent offensively as the Avalanche or the Oilers, but you don't need to be because they're number 2 in goals against average. And that huge tip of the cap to their goalie, but their defense has also been extremely, extremely good for them. You have Vasilevsky in net, who has been playing incredible and seemed to just kick it up every single series that we go further into the playoffs. But they're also number 8 in shots, so they're limiting the number of shots that are going towards him, which is going to lower the number of goals that are accumulated by the other team. So you're number 2 in goals against average. You're number 8 in shots, so you're not allowing many goals on the shots that are being put towards you, but you're also number 2 in save percentage. So that means you're not getting many shots sent at you, which is going to lower the number of goals immediately because you don't have to try and save so many. But also the shots that are put towards your net, you're doing an incredible job at saving and making it very hard. So scoring on this team is really, really difficult. And having a number 6 offensively is a big, big help for you too. I mean, even if you're at like 10 out of the 16 at this very moment, even if you were number 10, which they're clearly not, having such a good defense is going to help you a lot. And having the number 6 offense is going to be a huge, huge weight off the shoulders of Vasilevsky and the defense if they have an off game or 2 at a time. Now, on the other side of things, they're number 4 in penalty minutes. So they have quite a bit of penalties, more than you would hope for. You'd rather be number 16 than number 1, and you would rather be in the lower half than the top half. But you're number 4 in penalty minutes, and I feel like they still do a very, very good job when they are on the penalty to kill it and still apply pressure on that side of things. Now, your best penalty killer is your goalie, and when you're number 2 in save percentage, that's a big help for you. So even though they're high in the penalties for them, it's not such a big worry because you have Vasilevsky there to save you. Now, I've spoken about it many times, but the key here for Lightning is Vasilevsky. Sometimes he has an off game here, but he always seems to kick it up right away, right after. He has an insane amount of energy. I don't know, goalies seem like they're insane to me just because they're just always ready for things to be just shot at them and they have to save it. I don't know. I think goalies is probably one of the, if this guy's in net, he's almost like a psychopath in some way. I think that's the one position in all of sports where you need to be a little bit crazy to play the position, and Vasilevsky brings that if you watch any of his videos before games. But not only that, but you got Kucherov, and I've said this a million times, I always check names before I try to say them, but I'm going to butcher them because sometimes my brain can't comprehend what I'm reading. You got Kucherov and you got Victor Hedman on this team. That still brings a lot of power to your team. And not only that, you still have some other guys who, I'm not going to list every single guy on this team, but how they built this roster, even after the cap situation that they had to clear out a lot of their top guys, this team is still loaded somehow, and not just the top heavy. They still have some good lower tier guys, like lower tier as in like 4th line, 3rd line. They still bring a lot. But let's not count out the Rangers. Now, Lightning had 8-3 record. The Rangers have an 8-6 record, and they've been playing very good. They just won in 7 against the Hurricanes, and they ended up going to Game 7 in both rounds so far in the playoffs. Is that a little bit of worry for you? Maybe you're getting tired at this point, which is definitely going to be a factor. Over time, you're going to get very tired, and it's going to lead you to worse shots, worse saves, all that stuff. But this team's been doing very, very good. So they're number 4 in goals per game, so they're better than Lightning. And they've looked a lot better offensively than I think I personally expected them to. I'm not sure about other people. A lot of people did have them as the favorite to make the Stanley Cup out of the East side. But I just feel like their offense really stepped up here. And the other side of the thing, they're number 6 in goals against average, which is lower than the Lightning. But Igor Shesterkin has been going crazy. I mean, crazy. From first round, you have, 70 saves in 3 overtimes, and you somehow lose it, to that 49 save shutout that he just had. He's been doing incredible. He's been the reason why this team has been able to win these series in those Game 7s. He's came out in the moments that you needed him most. They're also number 2 in shots. So although you're number 6 in goals against average, it's because the amount of shots that are heading your way. You're having so many shots sent your way, you have to save them. Over time, they're going to start going in. I mean, you're number 3 in save percentage. So you're doing a great job at saving the puck. It's just when you have so many coming your way, there's going to be one going in every, 10, 12, and that's going to lead you to have a higher goals against average. Now, not only that, but they're number 6 in penalty minutes, so they're a little bit better than the Lightning, but they're still getting their penalties, and Igor Shesterkin's been a big help for them in those situations. But I feel like this is going to be series is going to be a battle of the goalie. Now, the Rangers do obviously have offensive power, and I feel like the Rangers might have the most extravagant names that I have to read. Mika, oh my gosh, I don't want to try his last name. Mika Zibanejad, okay, that's bad. Adam Fox, Igor Shesterkin, you have a lot of these guys, and they just really like to mess with the words that I'm saying. That really makes it hard for me, but a lot of guys that are top talent. I mean, I think Mika and Adam Fox are top 5 in points throughout these playoffs. They've been doing very, very good. But again, you have 2 teams that have a lot of superstar talent, especially in net. Now, it's time that we talk about who do I think will win. And I think we'll start with the Lightning and the Rangers because we just went so in depth it's fresh in your mind. Like I said, this is going to come down to the goalies. When you have Igor Shesterkin, currently most likely the Vezina Trophy winner, and you have Vasilevsky on the Lightning side, who has been playing incredible for many years in a row, it's going to come down to the goalies in the end of things. But I think the fact that the Lightning are number 8 in shots, but the Rangers are number 2 in shots, so the Rangers are getting a lot of shots up. I think I read that statistic right. I hope I did. But the Rangers are getting a lot of shots up, and although the Lightning have number 2 save percentage, you kind of think that cancels each other out. Now, the fact that Lightning are number 8 in shots is going to help a lot for the Rangers because their save percentage has been so them having a lower number of shots per game is going to lower the amount of goals they're going to go in. Now, on the other side of things, you have number 4 and the number 6, respectively, for goals per game. And that's so close. I mean, that's literally like a point 3 difference or something like that it doesn't really matter a ton. And penalty minutes, again, is so close. So statistically, each one of these guys is really close. It's going to come down to the goalies. Now, the team I'm picking here comes down to games played. The Rangers, 8-6. They've played a lot of games. They played 14 games. The Lightning are 8-3. They've only played 11 games. And yes, that's only a 3-game difference. But 3 games comes down to a lot of things. And the Lightning did just get a huge break here this past round. And that could end up coming and biting them in the butt because maybe they rested a little too much. But I'm going to go Lightning here. I believe in them, and I wouldn't have made that video on them possibly having a three-peat if I didn't believe in them. I'm going to go Lightning, but I'm going to say it's in 6. And there's a high possibility that it does go to 7, but I'm going to say in 6. And it's going to come down to the Rangers are going to get tired. Igor Shesterkin's going to have a bad game here or there because of his not durability. I think he's going to stay in net, but he's just been worn out mentally. He's going to get tired, which is going to slow him physically. I think that's going to be a big thing for him, which is going to slow him down. And offensively, they've been doing very good, but at some point you're going to slow down. You're going to have an off night, especially when you're going against a guy as good as Vasilevsky. Now, let's not take it away. I think Igor Shesterkin is going to have a shutout game at some point during the series. But I just think that over time, playing so many games and every single series being the 7, you're going to get tired. You don't get that huge break like some of these other guys have gotten. And I think the Lightning are going to come out on top for that reason, and they're going to take it in 6. That is my pick. Now, the Avalanche and Oilers is, a tougher series picking-wise. I think it's not a tougher series like talent-wise, but it's Avalanche are 8-2, Oilers are 8-4. It's only a 2-game difference, and yes, the Rangers was only a 3-game difference, but it's from 10 to 12 games versus 2 7-game series back-to-back is quite a big difference. And the Oilers, again, just had a pretty big break there, 4-1 against the Flames. So now you got to look at, statistics. Now they're both tied for number 1 in offense, goals per game. They're both tied for number 1. And now you got to look at goals against average. You got number 4 for the Avalanche, and you have number 8 for the Oilers. And shots, they're very close, number 5 and number 4. Save percentage, the Oilers are doing better. They're number 4 save percentage, and the Avalanche are number 7. But, I think the Avalanche, although they're number 7 in save percentage, they have a better defense, which is going to limit the number of actual shots on the net. And I think a big thing that will end up coming on top and be a reason for this series to close out is the penalty minutes. Avalanche at 13 and Oilers at 2. The Oilers are just always on the PK. Well, not always, but you know what I mean. A lot more than the Avalanche are. Avalanche are going to have numbers more often than not. And not only that, but, the Avalanche have been a team that has been a favorite for a long time, and they just haven't got it done. And you think it has to break at some point. Like people say that the Maple Leafs curse has to break at some point. The Avalanche has to make it at some point, I believe. And I think we're all counting them out for most of the series because they've shown us that we can't. I think this year they break it, and it's going to come down to the goalie. I think Darcy Kemper is the better goalie in this series, although his save percentage may say otherwise. I think he's going to be able to kick it up a little bit here. And when you both have such great offenses, literally tied offensively, being a number 4 versus number 8 goals against average is going to help you a lot because the Avalanche aren't having so many shots against them. Even if they had a worse save percentage, it's not as many shots. And I think this is going to be an incredible matchup. McKinnon versus McDavid. Cale Makar versus Leon Draisaitl. I think this is going to be a very, very good series. And I'm going to take the Avalanche. And I think this series is tough because I don't know how many games. I think the Avalanche are the clear favorites, and they're clearly who I'm going to pick here, but I don't know how many games. Down here, the Lightning and the Rangers, I could easily see it going both ways. I just think the amount of games played is going to lead towards the Lightning taking it. That's the only reason why I'm choosing the Lightning there. I think they're so close that the number of games played is going to be the reason I lean towards Lightning. But the Avalanche, I think the Avalanche win it, but I think we got to give props to the Oilers. And I don't think it's going to be a sweep. It's tough for me to say in 5 games because I think the Oilers have it in the tank enough to get more shots on the Avalanche than they're used to. And when you have a number 7 save percentage, that's going to lead to, a chance to win more games. So saying 5 kind of sucks. Now, I don't know if it will go to 7. I think that would be a big hiccup on the Avalanche's behalf if it goes to 7. And 6 is like right in the middle there, but, do you see the Avalanche dropping to? Because I think I'm going to say in 6. I know I said both series are in 6, but it's tough for me. I think the Lightning and Rangers could easily go both ways. I don't think it goes to 7 games just because I think the Rangers are going to lose it. The tank's going to go empty. The Avalanche and Oilers, I'm going to say 6, mainly because I think the Oilers have a little bit more talent than maybe we want to offer them. But I'm going to go 6 in both. And comment what you guys think. What do you predict down below? Who do you think is going to win? How many games? All that sorts of stuff. If you enjoyed this content, give me a like. Give me some criticism down below because I'm really trying to improve for you guys. If you really enjoyed this content and you're already coming back on a daily basis, go ahead and subscribe because I do have daily content, NBA, NFL, and NHL. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It really means a lot to me. But as always, I hope I taught something today. That's something that's really important to me. the ability to expand other people's thoughts and allow more conversations within the sports community and be able to have good conversations, not just based on knowing one side of the statistics. I hope it made you smile. I hope it made you laugh. That is also something that's really important to me. It affects someone else's day in a great way, because every single day can be a good day if we all put in the effort. And as always, you guys all be safe out there.